Great.
Okay, it is 5:35 and this is the Monday, February 7th, 2022 meeting of the Architectural Review Committee of the City of Palm Springs. Mr. Newell, would you please do roll call?
Yes, Member Thompson,
Here.
Member Walsh is excused. Member Payline,
Here.
Member McCoy,
Here.
Member Lockyer,
Here.
Member Dozy,
Here.
Vice Chair Rotman,
Here.
and Chair Jakeway.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. And I do want to point out that because Mr. Walsh is gone, Dan Thompson will be participating in the discussion and voting on all of our items tonight. May we have a staff report on the posting of the agenda?
Chair Jakeway and committee members, our agenda was posted on Tuesday, February 1st, so our meeting has been posted in accordance with state law.
Thank you. Does the committee have any revisions to the agenda? Do we have a motion to accept?
I'll move.
Second? Okay, Robert moves. Look like John McCoy second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Comments on an item appearing on tonight's agenda are made at the time the item is presented. If you want to speak on an item not on today's agenda, you may speak now. If anybody in the waiting room has any items they would like to discuss with the committee, please identify yourselves. Doesn't look like we have any, but we can always add people if necessary. Minutes from the last meeting. Are there any revisions to the minutes of the last meeting? You know what? I didn't get any minutes.
Did I?
No, Chair, we don't have any minutes ready for you tonight, so
Okay.
at your next agenda, we'll have the previous minutes for you.
Okay, then we can skip over that and get to the consent agenda, which has two items. Item number 1, Greenskeepers LLC doing business as Hits Studio, requesting the approval for use of a portable open sign for an existing cannabis dispensary located at 155 South Palm Canyon Drive. The recommendation is to approve that subject to conditions. Item number 2, Hunter J Dog LLC owner requesting a land use permit and a waiver to continue the use of an enlarged parklet located at 315 East Arenas Road. And that is recommended for approval subject to conditions. Is there any discussion of the consent calendar? Or a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
That was Dan Thompson, second.
I'll second that.
Tom Dostie, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, maybe we can get through the rest of it that quick too. Who knows? New business, number 3, Jack Rivers of Canyon Print and Signs on behalf of Height End, an existing cannabis dispensary, for the approval of a sign permit application to install a 22.3 square foot permanent wall sign at 3395 North Indian Canyon Drive. We have a staff report, please.
Thank you. Good evening. Let me share my screen. Okay. As introduced, this is a sign permit application for an existing cannabis dispensary called Heighten, located at 3395 North Indian Canyon Drive. The project site is located at the northwest corner of San Rafael and Indian Canyon Drive. And this is just a view of the property taken from the street intersection. The applicant is proposing to install one permanent wall sign, and the square footage of the signage is 22.3 square feet. This proposed wall sign is going to be individual channel letter sign, and it's going to be illuminated. Projection from the wall is approximately 5 inches, and the construction of the sign includes a plex sign face, a painted aluminum return, and the trim caps. And this is just to show the location of the proposed signage, which is on the south elevation of the building, as indicated by blue arrow. And that's where the sign is proposed. As you may recall or may not,
There's nobody else upstairs.
Okay,
back in 2020, the business submitted a minor architectural review application for the approval of after the fact exterior alterations, particularly repainting of the building. And AAC voted for continuation. And in April 2021, the AAC recommended approval to the city council, and the city council approved the project subject to conditions of approval, which are included in attachment number 4 of the packet that you received. And this is what the AAC reviewed at the time. Again, the exterior painting of the building in night mission and accentuated in anchor grade as paint is shown on the screen. Based on the submittal, staff finds that the proposed sign meets the sign ordinance regulations. However, not all conditions of approval imposed by the city council have not been met as of today. And these conditions of approval included the removal of unpermitted light fixtures. Particularly, these are the wall light fixtures near the entrance of the building, as well as the installation of additional landscaping materials along the southern border of the parking lot. For these reasons, staff is recommending approval of the project subject to the conditions of approval. The first one is that the sign installation shall be contingent upon the installation of additional landscaping materials along the southern border of the parking lot and the removal of the unpermitted light fixtures. And the second is that the business owner obtain a building permit prior to the installation of the wall sign when it's ready. This concludes the staff presentation, and the staff and applicant are both available should you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Noriko. One clarification, please. This is a sign just on the south side of the building. Previously, we'd seen, I think, something on the north side, but now there is nothing on the north or the east side, just this one in the south.
Correct. The business previously had unpermitted banners that were installed on the building elevations. However, those banners have been removed, and the business is proposing a one wall sign at this moment.
Great, thank you. Does anybody on the committee have any questions for staff? Okay, then let's move ahead to the applicant. I believe Noriko said the applicant is here. You have 10 minutes. Please give us your name and address and explain the project.
Hi, the name's Jack Rivers. Our address is 67990 East Palm Canyon, or Canyon Print and Signs in Cathedral City. The project is basically what Noriko said, is just an illuminated channel letter sign on the south facing building that's in ordinance with the city sign programs, or sign ordinances, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's pretty clear and pretty straightforward. Thank you. Does anybody on the committee have questions for the applicant? Okay, at this point, if there are any members of the public who would like to make a presentation or discuss this item, now is your time to do that. Okay, I don't hear any discussion amongst the committee.
I have a question for Noriko.
Sure, Tom.
Could you go back to the recent photos you had of the front elevation? And the reason I bring that up is it looks a little different than the photograph that they placed the sign on.
This was actually taken from the Google Street View. The staff went to the site and took the picture. However, the picture did not turn out. It was very clearly, something that's clear to really convey what's going on the property. It was just a lighting issue. And reason this signage was used, I'm sorry, this image was used. The signage that you see here, this is the unpermitted banner that has been removed from the site.
Okay,
At the site, there's nothing on the elevation right now.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the committee or discussion amongst the committee? Noriko, have we ever received an actual landscape plan, or have they just been told to enhance the landscaping?
The city, the planning division particularly has not received any landscape plan at this moment.
So as part of your recommendation or the conditions, would it be that they have to provide a landscape plan before they do the additional landscaping, at least for staff review?
Yes, that is correct. That will require minor architectural review application for that.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I guess I have a comment. Are we talking about the design that's proposed at this
Yes.
point?
Mhm.
I think when I look at the front elevation and the proposed location of the sign, it doesn't do anything to enhance any of the architecture. I feel like the location makes the building even feel taller than it already is. And when I look at the front elevation, I feel like there's a couple different locations where the sign could become more of the front elevation and create a better composition. Whether it be to the left of the door or just something to give some type of design element to it versus everything on that right-hand side kind of being stacked up, and then we're all the way up to the eave of the roof. That's my comment.
Thanks, Tom. Anybody have any other comments? Do we have a motion? Motion from somebody, please.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Dan,
I'll make a motion to approve subject to the recommended corrections.
that would be the staff recommendations. Do we have a do we have a second?
I'll second.
John McCoy seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Myself, I.
Tom Dosey is opposed. Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much. Now we'll go to item number 4, Best Signs Incorporated on behalf of Margaritaville Resort for sign program amendment approval for the 2 existing wall signs installed on the front entry canopy fascia at the Margaritaville Resort Palm Springs Hotel located at 1600 North Indian Canyon Drive. And do we have a staff report?
Yes. Thank you. This is a sign program amendment application for Margaritaville Resort located at 1600 North Indian Canyon Drive. Project site is located at the northeast corner of North Indian Canyon Drive and East Vista Chino. It's a 16.2 acre lot, and the applicant is proposing this sign program amendment to include 2 after the fact wall signs in the approved sign program. The property currently has an existing monument sign at the corner of Indian Canyon and Vista Chino. And the proposed 2 to be included in the sign program are located on the fascia of front driveway canopy. And again, these are after the fact signs. As you see, one facing the south elevation, the canopy fascia, and the other one is located at the fascia of the porte cochere which faces the corner of the Indian Canyon and the Vista Chino behind the monument sign. This Mi Casa es Casa, this is a illuminated wall sign with color palette that's consistent with the monument sign. And this is a second sign design for the fascia of the driveway. Based on the submitted sign plan, the proposed signs do not meet the sign ordinance regulations as analyzed in the staff report. And the installation of the two signs is not necessitated by the site's physical features or setting, and no supporting evidence which indicates that the deviations from the sign ordinance are necessary for the effectiveness of the sign program. And in the submitted justification letter, the business explains that the signage will function to identify the entrance to the resort, and then also to provide a Margaritaville state of mind to the customer. However, staff finds that such goals or intent can be served by other architectural and design means. In other words, it does not have to be signage to achieve those goals. And for the reason, the staff is recommending denial of this application and adopt the draft, which is attachment number 2 in the staff report. And this concludes the staff presentation, and the staff and the applicant are available if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Noriko. For clarification, the Mi Casa es Su Casa is an illuminated sign, and the other sign is non-illuminated. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody on the committee have questions for staff? Okay, the applicant, please give us your name. Tell us about your project. You have 10 minutes to present and 2 minutes of rebuttal if needed.
Yeah, hi, my name is John Cross. I'm with the sign company Best Signs. And yeah, the background on this sign program or, sign design package was essentially given to us from the client, from the Margarita brand schedule. And, these locations were identified by the client. The signs were fabricated and installed. So as far as, presentation on, why we think these signs should be there. I don't, personally, I don't know that these signs hurt anything. I mean, it's a large corner project, large corner building. There's a monument on the corner, but the Mi Casa Su Casa does definitely help to identify, that entry onto the property. Their theme is not like a streamlined, modern, simple identification. I mean, that's kind of the brand, is that, you've got, I don't know if anybody's been on the property, but, there's fun directional signs, there's quotes everywhere. There's, quite a bit of that Margaritaville theming. So it is part of their theme. I know that, not everybody can have their theme, but it definitely does help solidify that brand continuity that, people come to expect, whether, in the Bahamas or in Florida. It kind of serves to establish their brand. So yeah, that's the presentation.
Okay, thank you, John. Public comments. Do we have anybody in the waiting room from the public who would like to comment on this project? Okay, with no public comments, there's no need for rebuttal, obviously. The committee, any questions for the applicant? Do we have a motion?
Tom, I have a question for
Sure,
staff.
Tom. Okay,
As part of, I know we looked at the sign originally, the monument sign. Was the blue color or turquoise color of the fascia, was that something that was approved by the city, or was that part of the approval when they submitted the original sign?
The painting of the blue fascia was not a part of the review. And as far as the staff is aware, no official application has not been submitted for the painting of the fascia.
Okay, thank you.
my comment would be, I think with the signs having different materials, different fonts, different graphics, it just makes the thing look really cluttered. And it's something that in Palm Springs sign ordinance, one of the goal has been to keep things simplified and clean. And I just think this goes against the principle and thought behind most of our sign regulations. So I'm not in favor of this.
I would agree. I would think that especially the non-illuminated sign, you can't see that. And if that's one of their things is to have fun little quotes and directional signs, that's something that you won't even see. I think it's too obscure by the front sign on the corner of the monument sign. So by the time you get there, you can't even see it. So I don't think it's necessary for one.
I would concur. It does not support their arrival experience when it's not in the arrival area.
Yeah, it needs to be something maybe in the lobby or something like that, but
I agree that the change in attitude is not really a necessary sign. But I could see an argument for keeping Mi Casa Su Casa, simply because as you drive into the portico, you will see it, and it would potentially from the owner's side start to create a certain brand or image. And if we were to allow any of them, I would say that might be the one we keep and then get rid of the other one.
see, I would think that even if you were going to allow that one, but its location isn't great. I mean, you know that it's the porte cochere just from pulling up to the building. I don't think you have to be told that. And so if they wanted to do something like that, I think there may be a blade sign above the front door as you enter would be more appropriate, because then it's eye level with you as you come in through that porte cochere. I don't think that's necessary where it's at.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions?
I concur.
Looking for a motion?
I'll make a motion to decline the project.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Steve?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Next, item number 5, Studio A&R&D on behalf of David Banks and Ty McNeil for a major architectural application to construct a 5,223 square foot single family residence with the maximum building height of 19.3 feet on a 51,836 square foot hillside parcel located at 220 Ridge Mountain Drive. May we have a staff report, please? Oh, Sean will be.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna recuse, so thanks. Talk to you
Yep.
soon.
Sean will be leaving us and join us again for our last item later. Okay, staff report.
Yes. Thank you. This is a proposed single-family residence at 220 Ridge Mountain Drive, a hillside parcel from Banks and McNeil residence. Project site is one of 9 lot subdivision that was approved in 1984. The size of the lot is 15,836 square feet. And as you can see on here, the project site is a very steep hillside, which slopes down from its northwest corner to southeast corner by approximately 50 feet. The flat area is limited in the northwest corner of the lot, as you see right over here. And this is where the proposed residence is gonna be located. This is just to show the project site images. The area that's flat is the this northwest corner of the lot that I just mentioned. And as you can see, the project site has very large boulders and a very rocky, steep hillside topography. The proposed residence is 5,223 square feet, which includes a 3,866 square foot primary residence and a 969 square foot four-car garage and a 631 square foot guest room. And the proposed lot coverage is 10.1%, which is significantly less than the 35% that's permitted in this area. And applicants proposing the maximum building height of 19.3 feet. And applicants submitted an administrative minor modification application for the proposed building height. This is a proposed site plan. The proposed residence primary is a single story residence with the exception of the guest room, which is located at the corner over here, which is going to be a partially two-story. In addition to the residence, applicants proposing the installation of a landscape materials, which consist of drought-tolerant landscape materials such as acacia, olive oak, and desert ironwood. And this is a renderings that are submitted by the applicant just to show the location of the proposed residence and the topography of the site and its vicinity. This is the primary elevation of the residence, and applicant is proposing the application of a mix of materials, which include a smooth stucco, casting place concrete wall, glazing natural stone, and metal eave, and so forth. And this is the rear elevation of the residence, which faces a steep topography. As the staff mentioned earlier, the applicant is proposing a partial two-story construction, which is going to be a guest room over here. And this is the opposite side of the property. It's actually, this is the south elevation of the proposed residence. Again, you see a steep topography and large boulders that are existing, which will be part of the new landscape for the residence. And this is the north elevation of the residence. This is the side elevation of the proposed guest room, which is going to be a partially two-story. And applicant is proposing to install the landscaping materials along this elevation right here to soften the concrete. This is a proposed floor plan, four-car garage, guest room at the edge of the primary residence, and the entrance to the residence is over here. It does exhibit a rectilinear form in terms of the design of the residence. And applicant is proposing, this is a roof plan, excuse me. The applicant is proposing wood trellis in some areas of the residence to differentiate the materials. Based on the submitted material, staff finds that the project meets the required findings of the architectural and hillside review criteria. The project meets the development standards except for the building height for the guest room area, which is partially two-story. And applicant submitted an administrative minor modification for the 19.3-foot building height in accordance with applicable law, and applicant's request for AMM approval is justify the site's topography. And for this reason, the staff is recommending approval of the project subject to conditions of approval included in Exhibit A of the draft resolution. And this concludes the staff presentation, and applicant is available if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Noriko. Committee members, anybody have questions for the staff?
I have a question.
Yeah, Dan.
Hey, Noriko, is there an HOA at that location that would have to review the plans as well?
There is a CCNR that goes back a bit. but ultimately the applicant is responsible for getting the HOA approval for the project.
Because I would, at one point, I had looked at building on this particular area and there was a 6,000 minimum square foot house required. So this is a little bit underneath that. That's why I was wondering if they had looked at that.
So this project was approved part of a planned development district 155. And the staff reviewed the resolutions for the approval of PDD and did not find anything that relates to the minimum size of the residence.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Okay, we know that the applicant is here. Would you please give us your name and a presentation of the project?
Yeah, hello, my name is Dave Banks. I'm here with Ty McNeil. Just wanted to thank you for having us here this evening. We moved down here to Palm Springs from the Seattle area about 2 years ago, right during the beginning of the pandemic. And like so many before us, I think initially thought we wanted to be here part-time, but shortly after being here, decided that we really wanted to put roots down here permanently. And we're fortunate enough to find this property, and I think even more fortunate to find Sean to help us through this process and design something that we're super excited about. So that's really about it. We're really excited again to get started, and just want to thank you for considering our application.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody from Studio AR&D?
Yes, right here, Nick LaFaro.
Hi, Nick.
Hi. Thank you, Noriko. You've been busy tonight. Dan, to answer your question first off, we did get HOA approval back in October, I want to say, maybe September, but it's gone through the HOA process, review process, and has been fully approved.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So we're very excited about this project. It's a very unique site. We started the design process by going out and walking the site with the clients to gauge primary views and really the buildable area of the site, which kind of became apparent that it needed to be located in that flat area of the northeast or the northwest corner. Primary views are to the east, really great down valley views of the whole valley. However, when we were out there, we did encounter some bighorn sheep across the street on the west, to the west. So even though privacy is a very important thing on this project and for the clients, we did create these little moments with this window that extends above the roof line. We've got another window from the pantry because we didn't want to miss out on potentially seeing those bighorn sheep again. We also didn't want to turn our back on the massive mountains that we have. So that led to the clear story that you see on the west facade, on the west side of the great room there. This also led to a nice low profile along the front facade and resulted in a grounded design. We took a very linear approach to the materials and the design with the intent for this project to feel very connected to the earth. An important element for the clients was the casita, for a casita to be located somewhere on the project. And we found that creating an attached split level casita that kind of steps down the site to be the best use of the site. And it helped create this multi-level architectural feature that faces the valley with this kind of two-story glass. So we are applying for an AMM for this project because that north wall of the casita, Noriko, are you able to go to that elevation? Because this is a hillside home with a steep slope, you can kind of see, trying to annotate. Right here, we had to violate that because our roof line was right here, and we wanted this cast in place concrete wall to extend above the roof line. So it does violate by, I think, 3'8". So that's why we're applying for the AMM for this project. For materials, we wanted to choose natural and low maintenance materials that are, again, very of the earth. So the first selection was this dark natural stone that's kind of characteristic of the boulders on the site. We didn't want it to compete with it. And we're going to be laying these, the stone material in a very natural, organic, free form kind of manner. To also enhance the linear design, we selected horizontal board formed concrete, and we're using it here at this entry wall. And we really like the way we wanted to pick a material that was going to contrast and not really fight with the natural dark stone. So we're going with a standard gray concrete here. We also played with the form to grant like this subtle curving entry feature, kind of reminiscent of the natural topography of the site as well. Other materials like Noriko mentioned, we're using gray integral stucco. We've got these black eaves and other black steel accents around the property. When approaching the landscape, we chose a simple plant palette using native desert plants and also incorporating the numerous natural boulders and contours of the site. So we're just very pleased to be presenting this contemporary and minimal design. And it was a great result of months of design with the clients and site visits. So that ends my presentation.
Thank you.
Yep.
Committee questions for the applicant?
I have one. I seem to have all.
Yeah, Dan.
I seem to have all the questions tonight. I think it's a really great looking project, but I have one question on the roof. I don't know if just on our board, material board, that the roof looks, it says it's light gray. It looks really kind of white. And I know eventually there'll be homes kind of built above this, looking down onto your light colored roof. Have you considered maybe something a little darker in tone?
Yeah, we did consider like a dark gray tone for this also. We found that the light gray, I don't know, is a little more true to the rest of the colors that we're using here. But we do have a really good spec on a dark gray, Dan, and we'd be open to changing that.
Well, I was thinking maybe something more along the lines of the tan of the natural topography up there, so that when you're looking down from above and you look at the top of this house, it kind of blends in and disappears rather than contrasting the landscape.
Right. Mm-hmm. We would be okay making that change too. Mm-hmm.
That was my only question.
Okay.
Nick, I have a couple questions. The topography, looking on your site plan, it's really tough to see the grade lines. And if we could look at the front elevation, Noriko, I'm not quite getting it where you've, to the right of the entry stairs, there's a depression where you've got that cactus, and then it rises up quite a bit till you get to the far right corner. Could you explain what's going on there, please?
Yeah, so that's actually the natural slope of the topography there. And we wanted to keep it. We don't want to flatten this site too much. And we really liked the way it makes this stone grow out of the earth. And, you know, finished floor is actually right here in the house. So we'll be doing quite a bit of retaining. And, you know, we are building this wall fairly tall then. But it was our intent to keep the site as natural as possible, Tom.
Okay, makes sense. Another question on the trellises that have the olive wood infill. I don't see any columns or posts holding up the corners of those trellises. It looks like you've got a steel fascia that creates the outer edges of these trellises, and then the wood is inset into them. But I can't see how that could cantilever or how those corners could be supported.
Well, we do have our full structural design now, and I know he's using a wide flange beam here that's going pretty deep into our building to help with that corner there. Same here, he's using some beefy beam material.
And it's really the one on the far right, I can't see where there's any building wall as it comes down. to support.
I'm just pulling up our structural to make sure I'm not lying to you. Yeah, what is he using? He's using HSSs, 8" by 3" HSSs to achieve this, and no columns required.
So they're coming out perpendicular to the bathroom.
Am I able to share screen?
That's okay. It's just a structural question. If you've solved it, you've solved it.
Yeah.
And finally, on the landscape plan, I see it looks like a patio to the south of the house, kind of in a wing shape. Could you explain what that is?
Yeah, so we've got a lot of land here, and like Noriko pointed out, the house is only taken up about 10%. So we're trying to create these little areas around the site to kind of go and wander to. That one in particular, I think you're talking south of the spa and the pool.
Yeah.
That one in particular, we're thinking of building this wood deck with a fire pit built in it. So just kind of like a nice observation deck for going and wandering to.
Okay. Thanks, Nick.
Yep.
Anybody on the, Robert?
Yeah, so on the same thing, there's these other amoeba shaped places on the plan. Are those patios, or what are those? They're kind of, yeah, okay. All right. Question, my real question was about solar. And we're going to be putting it on the building and where it's going.
Yeah, so I'd like to share screen if that's possible, because I knew someone was going to ask this, and I was going through the set, I'm like, damn, why aren't we showing these? Share screen. So on our roof, we do have some dog houses. We really have like 2 levels to our roof. We've got this low roof that extends in front of the building over to the garage, and then we've got this higher roof. We're going to keep our solar panels off of the higher roof. We have these HVAC mechanical enclosures, or what we call dog houses, on the roof. And we are going to get our solar panels north of those. They're here over these guest rooms. And we're also going to get some on the garage here. We're currently working with Hot Purple Energy to nail down this solar design and the required panels that we need.
Okay. And, great.
Nick,
And then just talk a little bit about your HVAC system. If I recall, I remember seeing one closet way over at the southeast corner, and then I think I saw something tucked under the loft of the guest room. But where is it elsewhere for the rest of the house?
Yeah, so we're gonna have 4 zones. We do have this zone C over here, and that's gonna feed all of the master. Then we have in the garage, we've got 2 zones, zone A and zone B. Zone A is gonna feed all of the great room. And then zone B, we're gonna be building a drop soffit in here. So that HVAC is gonna be coming through this way. And then all of our structure is running east-west. So that's why we needed a dog house right here in order to get our HVAC in there, to come over, and then to feed across.
Got it.
Yep, and then in the casita, we're not seeing the lower level here. We've got it here though. We've got an HVAC closet that's gonna be accessed from the lower level through here or under the stairs.
Okay, great,
Yep.
thank you.
No problem.
Nick, could you explain the dog houses? These are going to be seen more than on a lot of your other projects because there are houses above. Is the side and top of the dog house made out of the same material as the roofing, or are the sides of the dog houses stucco, and what are they going to look like?
Yeah, the sides are going to be the same material as the roof membrane. So we're going to take that single ply roof membrane and run them up the sides, and then they're going to continue on top of the dog houses. We will also have some vents, custom vents made for the sides of these dog houses that will be the same color as the roof material. But that's just, those vents are doing double duty for us. We hide all of our plumbing vents that are required in there, and it also helps with our TJI joists and attic ventilation through those.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Any other committee questions for the applicant?
I have a question, Tom.
Yeah, Tom.
Nick, on the plan, and I don't know if it's still the same quantities proposed, but it shows a total of 143 landscape light fixtures. Is that still the same proposed quantity?
It's what it is the same proposed quantity, Tom. Some of these are very small fixtures. Like this is just a little accent kind of pin light that we're just kind of using as accents around the property. So I think that's why it kind of tallied up so high, is these very small, low lumen fixtures that we have lighting boulders and pathways around it.
Because when you look at the legend, it does call out some of them to be up to 5 watts LED, and from an LED, that's a lot of lumosity. I think the lowest was about a 3 watt, but my concern is how much light is being put up on the hillside, and then particularly from, I believe it's called Kauai Hills, the ancient stone houses way above. If those would be looking down onto this. So that's one concern I had. The other question I had is the trees that are placed in the back in somewhat of a linear fashion, but they're offset somewhat. Are those then to screen the roof of the house below? So they'll be set at a lower elevation?
That's right. So you're talking these guys here, these are olive trees that we're proposing. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of create these pockets and flatten them. And those are going to be about 16 feet lower than the finished floor of our house. So it's not going to block the homeowner's views down valley, but it is going to help screen the roof line from people down the valley looking up.
Now, has there been any consideration of varying those species to give a more natural look than just all being proposed as olive trees?
There has, and I think we're doing that. So these 4 here are olive trees. These green guys we have here are Circidium praecox, so the Palo Brea. And these 4 that we're proposing here are going to be a variety of oak that are native to the desert.
Okay.
I think we're also using some leatherleaf acacias and yuccas also.
Okay. And then one final question, and you and Chairman Jakeway were talking about it earlier on the front elevation, the natural topography. And when you look at the topo, it looks like there are some boulders, but I guess my recommendation is the wall that projects out into the landscape at the very far right of this elevation. Could a berm or boulders be where it looks like it kind of integrates into the natural terrain more? Or is that just something that will occur on site and it's difficult to show in the rendering?
I think it is going to be, this side is covered in boulders, and I don't think that these renderings are really doing it justice to show the sheer amount of boulders there. So it is going to be a very kind of design build, site specific activity when we do that. And we will be incorporating more boulders here.
Right. So where your cursor is, that wall will feel like it's kind of growing out of the land.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nick, I think instead of some of these calling them boulders, I'd call them rock outcroppings. It's just got some beautiful natural stonework. Last question I had, I don't see any way to get from inside of the main house to the door of the guest casita.
That's because there isn't right now.
Okay.
Yeah. We have thought about getting access. This is taking a while to load here, about putting a door here, but ultimately discussing with the clients and stuff, the people that are going to be living or staying temporarily in the casita, they've got a small kitchenette here that they'll be able to use. And then they do have access to the rear yard. Yeah, the clients don't see a whole lot of people needing to come in and out often.
So really, they'll end up having to walk through the garage.
Walk through the garage or walk all the way to the front of the house, correct?
Okay.
Yeah.
And below, down at the corner of the guest house on the lot site, there to the right southeast, there's a rectangular squared something there.
So yeah, so let me go to the actual.
Oh, I see on the drawings that you gave us, they're so small, I couldn't read those letters.
Yeah. So this is going to be a pool equipment vault, and you can see we're going to have a concrete roof on top of the vault, and our intent is to have about 12 inches of soil above that, so we can really disguise it. So it's just going to kind of daylight out here, and you'll have to walk around to get into the pool equipment. But from above, you won't be seeing it.
Your pool guy's gonna hate you.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions of the applicant? At this point, we would have comments, public comments. Do we have anybody in the waiting room from the public who'd like to comment on this project? Doesn't appear to. Committee discussion.
I'll start. I think my only concern is the number of landscape lights. And I would probably request that the quantity be reduced and that they be on separate circuits so they could be better controlled. I get the idea of little pin lights lighting some of the boulders, but again, the concern is putting too much light up on the hillside and also the sky ordinance.
I'll comment that I think it's a great project. Materials are perfect for the area, though I agree with Dan, I think it was Dan comment that the roof I would think would be better in a tan color range so that you are, as you're looking down, seeing the same colors out beyond this project. And other than that, I think you hit it on nail on the head.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the committee? Do we have a motion?
Sure. I'll move to approve with the conditions that the landscape lighting, the quantity of landscape lighting be reduced and that the color of the roofing be revised to a more natural color that fits the site.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Tom Dosey, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one last item. Does the committee, anybody need a 5-minute break or should we move straight through?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to recuse myself from this project as I
Okay.
had worked for the developer on this project in the past 60 days.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Can we get Sean back?
Here.
Okay. We're looking at item number 6, One Las Palmas LLC for a major architectural application for the review of 4 single-family house types on 11 hillside lots and an administrative minor modification for a front yard setback reduction for 3 lots and increase in building height for 4 house elevations located at Las Palmas Estates Drive. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Chair. Are you able to see the slideshow full
Yes,
screen?
you're up there full size.
Great, okay.
But Mr. Malacca, you have both screens on the video here. So you want to switch the presentation.
Is that good now?
Yep.
Great, okay. So as Chair Jackway read into the record, this is One Less Palmas. The project was first platted in 2002 for 17 single-family lots, and over the years, they have come in for lot splits and other lot line adjustments. So there's a total of 20 lots in the One Less Palmas project. So today, the Architectural Review Committee is to review 4 house types with 6 elevations. They are requesting an administrative minor modification for a front yard setback reduction and an increase in building height on a side yard. In looking at the development, as I mentioned, there will be 20 lots. The north side, which is along Crescent Drive, is not considered architectural review, and some houses are currently under construction, and I'll show you a picture in just a minute. It's the lots on the south, running from the spillway of the Riverside County Flood project along the south end of the development. And you'll notice in this picture there, you can see that the lots are graded, the street is in, the curbs are in, and the toe of the slope is the darker brown. And if you've been to the site, the mountainside really becomes steep quite quickly. The applicant has provided a diagram showing how the houses could be sited. And this is a flip version of what we just saw. So the mountain is on the top portion of the slide, and then the non-architectural review lots are on the bottom. So currently, this house on lot 3 is under construction. There is a model home that is on lot 2 that is currently there. So we will be looking at the lots on the north side of the house. North side of the development. The AMM that they're requesting, let me zoom in here, involves these lots here, lots 14, 15, and 17. Based upon the way the topography is, where the mountain's located, and these chicanes and other islands in the street, the driveways are, the houses and the driveways are closer to the street than other lots proposed. So they're requesting an 18-foot setback instead of a 25-foot setback. And each of these driveways will be at least 18 feet long so that a car can be parked off the street. Also, they're asking for an AMM for lots, house types 1A, 1B, 2A, and 2B. And that involves using this example here, 2A. The left side of the house has a building elevation of 16 feet, which is taller than what would be normally allowed at 12 feet. So there are only these certain house types that have this condition where the left side of the house is at 16 feet. They have provided a streetscape design showing how the houses will relate to each other, and no one house could be sited next to another, meaning you can't have a plan 1A next to another 1A or directly across the street. And that's what this is showing, how these different houses will be sited along the street. As I mentioned, there's a house under construction. This actually is the plan number 4. I was out there right at sunset, so the next picture is a little bit darker. The sun had set, and you'll notice that the houses are white. It's a clear plaster finish with all of these houses. The outdoor area, living area, faces west, so you have a view of the dry falls and the mountain to the west. So looking at these, Chair, I have a bunch of slides. I'll try to go through them quickly so we don't spend a lot of time on them. But this is the plan 1A. It has the garage on the left-hand side. To my list here. Comprised of stucco, white quartz, stacked stone, metal vertical louvers, dark accent colors, and then the concrete driveway. There are visualizations that are in your packet. The applicant gave us an extensive packet so you could see what these houses would look like. As I mentioned, all the houses face west with pools, outdoor barbecues, dining areas, and so forth. And you notice the mountain is steep behind it. The transition from the level portion to the mountain is not worked out yet. There is not proposed to be any retaining walls at this time, but how that transition will happen has not been presented by the applicant. We'll talk about the landscaping and how it's very formal with artificial turf in the front, barrel cactus, rocks, rubble, and other desert appropriate plants. This is the material board for the 1A. Looking at the elevations, as I mentioned, this 1A has a 16-foot elevation on the left-hand side of the house. The code requires it to be 12, so they're asking for an increase in height. This is the great room on the interior. When the applicant came in, this was a blank wall, and staff asked that they provide some sort of reglets or relief on this wall side so that it wouldn't be a solid plastered wall. And the applicant had revised the plans to add some sort of detail to that side of the house. And this is a landscape plan showing the palms, the ficus, the lantana, and so forth. All the landscape plans are similar in their design. And then we have the floor plan. As I mentioned, the 16-foot tall section of the house is the back portion, or the left side of the house, which is the great room, master bathroom, and the garage. Moving on to 1B, this house also has the garage on the right, has the use of texture breeze block to add its architectural design to the front. Just going through these, similar breeze block, colors white. This house also has a 16-foot left elevation. Once again, the relief on the wall and the landscape plan and the floor plan. Plan 2A is a little bit unique. It has the garage in the center of the house. The entryway is on the left, which actually you enter through this little courtyard to a door, and then you enter actually on the left-hand side of the house. You can see the door, the front door is here. The outdoor living area, use of breeze block and masonry stone. This also has a 16-foot left side, the landscape plan, and then the floor plan. So as I mentioned, you come through this door here on the left, and it enters into the great room on the left-hand side of the house. Plan 2B also has the garage in the center of the house, but this has breeze block that with the front door here, that you enter into a courtyard. Designs the house. And you'll notice that the front doors are painted bright colors to sort of offset the white proposed main house. In this elevation, it's a 12-foot setback at the, it also is a 16-foot one-on setback on the left-hand side. Moving through these quickly, you'll see the garage is the center of the house with the 2 bedrooms, great room, and then the master bedroom in the back. Plan 3, garage on the left. There's this decorative overhang here that provides shade. The front doors leads into a courtyard, so does not lead directly into the house, but leads into the outdoor living area. In this house, I'd like to mention that the 12-foot height is on the left-hand side, and then the taller portion at 16 feet is on the interior portion above the great room. So this plan does not need the AMM. Moving through these, see it's 12 feet at this setback line, meeting the requirements. As I mentioned, the front door does not go directly into the house. It goes into the courtyard area. Then there's a second door that goes into the great room. Plan 4 uses a different type of material in the front. It's a textured foam and concrete wall with these circles, which is kind of the image that when you come into the front gate, the ARC reviewed the front entryway about a year ago, and these circles are the theme that is throughout the development. This has a shed roof over the great room. As I said, the foam and concrete textured wall. Moving through these, here's the floor plan. Plan 5, this is specifically cited on at the very end of the cul-de-sac. There's a driveway that leads back to several houses in the rear. This has a side loaded garage, so the garage is actually behind this wall here, and you'll notice it has different angles to the front. So this is the side loaded garage, and this is a shared driveway that goes back to 2 other lots in the back, and the living area, outdoor living area here with, and this is just conceptual design. They tell me it could be the prospective owner would pick the type of outdoor configuration of the pool and barbecue areas. Going through these elevations, so you'll see that this is kind of site specific because of this unusually sized lot. Moving on to the last plan, this is left-sided garage, front door that leads into a courtyard, very similar with the shed roof to the other plans, and you'll see the outdoor living area here, the landscaping along the front, building elevations, landscape plans, and floor plans. And Chair, that we did notify residents that are adjacent along Crescent. I did get a phone call from a resident who was just asking if they could see the plans. I sent them to them, and I did not receive any other comments other than just knowing what was going on behind them. So that concludes my report. The applicant is here, and if you would like, there's a set of conditions of approval in your packet, along with a resolution that approves the setback reduction and the increase in building height for those 4 plan types. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Glenn. Question, Glenn, is there parking allowed along this street, or is it all a fire lane?
This is not very wide, so all the parking would have to be off the street. I think this is only 24.
So the only guest parking is in people's driveways.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And the lot on the northwest.
This lot?
No, northwest. Yeah.
This one.
Does that driveway work? Can you get out of the garage, and can a fire department get in? And
well, this lot hasn't been plotted yet, so I'm not sure if we need a line adjustment or how that would work. The applicant may have thought this through more than what we're seeing here.
So, like lot 12 wouldn't have any guest parking because they don't have a driveway. If I'm looking at the cover sheet of the submittal.
Right, so lot 12 is this lot here. Here, let me go. Lot
that's
12 is this lot here. You know, I don't know if this cul-de-sac, you could have parking in the cul-de-sac, but they may be able to add some parking here.
Well, right there, that was going to be one of my other questions. They're showing a accessory building. They're showing 2 in the backyard. They're not showing it here, but when you look at the plans that are in the book.
Right, the floor plans. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And those are options. They're not.
Does the city require a more than 2 garage spaces? Are they required to have guest parking?
They're not required to have guest parking because it's a single family development. And even if they add an ADU or accessory casita, that does not require extra parking.
Okay, and then looking on this same picture, lot 13, I think it's gonna need a setback variance also because of the corner there closest to the cul-de-sac.
Here.
Isn't that whole line there that considered the front?
Yeah, I mean, this corner could be 20 feet because it's on a cul-de-sac. We'd have to look at that.
Okay. Any other questions from the committee for staff, Sean?
I have a couple. Yeah, is there a site plan that delineates setbacks? And is there a grading plan?
There's no grading plan other than the lots are already graded themselves. They're flat pads right now. And in your packet, there are site plans that show the setbacks.
But not with the houses on them?
Yes. The pages aren't numbered in this booklet, but if you go halfway back. Plan 4 shows the house sited on the lot. I'm sorry, I didn't put them in this presentation just because it's already 65 pages long or slides long. So plan 4, past the landscape plan, there's a site plan.
What page is that on our presentation, do you know?
I'll have to count.
What is the, so when you talked about when you were talking about the slope of the hillside and the acres that's flowing down that hillside into these backyards, what is the, how does that terminate the flow and then like, how does it work? So that's why I guess I just want to see a grading plan.
Right, so as an example, on lots 20 and 19, there was one large house that was on these 3 lots that was raised. And when I was there on the site today, there is a white low knee wall that runs along the back of these lots that delineates where the flat portion ends and the slope of the mountain begins. So that is one way that they've handled it in these lots. The applicant may be able to describe how he is proposing to do that in these back of these lots.
But they would still have to get the water from the backside of that wall out to the street or somewhere.
You mean the water coming off the mountain?
Yeah, in a heavy rainstorm.
Right.
I have to say, Glenn, I think this is barely enough information to make a reasonable discussion of this project. I think it's really, it would be so much more helpful if the sheets were numbered so we could refer our ways through this large packet. But like, nothing's labeled. It doesn't say front elevation, rear elevation. On the roof plan, it doesn't say any parapet heights, doesn't show any roof mounted equipment, doesn't show any solar, doesn't show any drainage. I think there's just an awful lot more information that we need before we can really make a reasonable discussion of this project.
Agreed. Site plans with setbacks, overall site plan. Grading plan, like I'm surprised this even got submitted without showing pad heights and that sort of thing. I don't know.
It's helpful for you, the ARC, to give us that information. So the applicant is here and he'd like to speak, but it's good for everyone to hear.
So I have some questions, some more rudimentary questions.
Sure, Robert.
Yeah, just to clarify, Glenn. So there are only 4 house types that we are reviewing: the 1A, 1B, 2A, and 2B. Is that right?
Right, and then there's there's different elevations that are the fronts change.
Right, and then that affects the lots, 11 lots. Although I'm not sure what the 11th lot is, but because I think when you go from lot 11 through 20, unless lot 10 is also considered hillside.
Yes, lot 10 is.
10, okay, all right, thank you for clarifying that. And would you just the 16-foot height issue with the side yard? Can you tell me what that code is, what that says?
Right, so any side yard setback at that setback line, the building height is to be no taller than 12 feet. They're requesting 16. So as being a hillside lot, they are allowed to request up to 18 feet. Well, they could go up to 30 feet, but that would be not appropriate. So that is why they're requesting the 16, is that it's permissible when you have a hillside lot.
So and is that specific to this development or hillside? Because I believe, you have at the front yard, you have a height of 12 feet that you can slope up to 18. If you have a pitched roof, you could have a height of a wall on the side yard that would exceed 12 feet. Right?
Right.
So how does, I just want to clarify how it applies in this situation.
Well, this is a solid wall that is right at the setback line. So there's really no 4-to-1 ratio that would get it up to 18. It's where the wall meets the setback. And unfortunately, they're asking for 16.
Okay.
None of these houses will be built on the north side of the street because they can't ask for the setback reduction. There's no justification to allow them to have the additional height on the north side of the development, but it does work on the south because they're considered hillside.
Right, okay. So that's why they don't have any of the 1A, B, or 2A, B on the south side. Got it, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions from committee for the staff? Okay, I know that the applicant is here. Could you please give us your name? Tell us about the project. You have 10 minutes for your presentation.
Sure, my name's Brian Foster, developer of the One Las Palmas. A lot of the questions that you're raising are probably more specific than they need to be, simply for the fact that the certain lots have not been specifically cited. So these are just standards that you're looking at. Buyers will have the opportunity to select lots and options and so forth. So you see some variables. We're just planning on not having the same elevations right next door to each other, obviously. As far as some of the comments about the height on the 16 foot height at the side yard setback, it's only at the high roof area. The garage and the master bedrooms are set at 12 feet. So it's just that one area that pops up, but with the orientation of the homes looking west and the homes being set back differently, instead of from front to back or north to south, I guess you'd say, or south or north to south. With east-west orientation, it's appropriate to do the modification that we're asking for. As far as some of the driveways, most of them will be much deeper than 18 feet. The one that you were talking about at lot 13, that setback where it pinches in the corner of the cul-de-sac, I believe that's set at 18 feet. So there's plenty of room there. There are some areas that are not figured out. We're working with the soils engineer on the hillside, or the rockfall mitigation on the hillside area. So that will probably be sacrificial impact walls or berms, things like that. So at this point, we're trying to leave enough space back there to do what we need to do to comply with the mitigation. And the termination between the toe of the slope will be natural into kind of working its way into the site before plant material and gravel and things change. But overall, the homes, I think the orientation is important for all of you to understand that the homes are sited opposite of the way the lots are cut. And that's why it's important for the setback modification. And we wanted to have some variable roof lines and create architectural interest. And we've already established the palette and colors on the north side of the street. We have several homes under construction now, and we have some others coming. There will be some plans that are on the south side of the street that will be built on the north, but those would be further away from the side yard setback. So it would be within the, with that sloping envelope, so we'd be fine there. But that's only going to be probably 2 lots. I think lots 1 and 9 probably have that condition. Other than that, I'm open for questions if you have any.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
Sure.
Committee questions for the applicant. Oh, I'm sorry, wait. This is, the public has the opportunity to make comments at this point. Do we have anybody in the waiting room from the public who'd like to make any comments on this project?
Chair, I think Scott Lyle has his hand up.
Okay, I don't see him, but there he is. Go, Scott.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm the broker for the community. And this is a pretty unusual situation in that we've been doing marketing on the north side of the street, which is not subject to the hillside development standards. And we have had an unbelievable reaction to the homes, very positive reaction to the architecture and the styling of the homes. And naturally, there's a lot of buyers who have talked to us about the south side of the street against the hillside, and we've held back pending input from the city, pending input from you. But I do want you to know that the buyers that we have, and I can't even think of anybody that said otherwise, they want the look and the feel to be the same as they move down this community. It's pretty unusual to have all that feedback. I'm over 100 people that have come in wanting to tour the site that are qualified buyers. I'd be at thousands if I let everybody in, what's going on with that neighborhood. But this hillside lots have some unusual conditions in that you have a hillside there, and like Brian talked about, having to deal with the rockfall study and mitigation. So I would hope that the committee would give us the ability to be a little more flexible so we can place the homes best for the community and how it's all going to come out. We really look forward to moving forward on the south side lots too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lyle. I have a question for staff before we move forward. Brian mentioned that there's still the capability for buyers to have options and change things. Will we be getting working drawings once the specific plan is developed for each of these lots?
That is not the, this will be your review. So once you approve the front elevations, the landscape plans, the setbacks, they would not be coming back to you for specific siting.
Okay, thank you.
So again, a question for Glenn.
Robert.
Yeah, just to clarify, so our review is just on the plans for 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B. It will not, our review is not of plan 5, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Is that right?
No, you are approving the architectural designs of all the lots, of all the designs that are before you today. So you'll give us, you'll give the applicant direction today. If you want additional information, you can continue it for more additional information, or you could deny or approve, either way. But it is for those, all the house types, elevations, and the setback reductions and increase in height.
Okay, great, thank you.
So Glenn, then something like lot 12, where it's shown completely differently on different pages, how can we make a finding on that? I mean,
Right,
one
so-
shows 2 accessory buildings, one doesn't show anything.
There's no north arrows, setbacks, site plan. I'm anxious to make a motion to continue this or deny it until we get better drawings with more accurate detail on them. Like, I think the outline in the draft from City Hall is pretty clear on what's required on a site plan, elevations, roof plan, floor plans. So frustrating to look at and spend time on and decipher.
I'm in your corner. I would just want a couple comments I would like to make. The front yard setback reductions, I think I'm fine with it, especially if they can keep a minimum of 18 feet in the driveways.
Yeah, but how about showing them, Tom, on the plans? and
You're right.
explain
I'm
them
just making some
graphically?
comments so that they can understand for a
Understood.
resubmittal. The other, my biggest concern is the 16-foot height at the side yard, because the lots are all situated so that, just take lot 15, its swimming pool is on the east side of the house. So it's looking directly at this, the side of the house next door that's just 10 feet away and is 4 feet higher than is allowable. I don't see any reason to approve height increases when it's has an impact on the neighboring house. If the pools were in the backyard and it was just side yard to side yard, it's something that I think would be easier to consider. But because you're having the neighbor look directly at that, and there's even some overhangs over those doors that are very difficult to see. So I'm with Sean to resubmit and revise and resubmit.
It's like height diagrams. How about showing those height diagrams, the property line, the setback line, how the height diagram is being, or, you know, the height, the envelope is being violated. It seems like rudimentary drawings to explain and make a case. And damn.
Yeah, it's like we need a whole site section. We need a site section from east to west, or east to west to east, to see what the elevation changes are from unit to unit.
And north to south, I'd
Yeah.
say. To Tom's point, if it's why would this be granted on the north? And which side of the street's the north? I mean, I know because I looked at a map and I could see the aerial, but sure doesn't say that on a site plan. So not even a north arrow. Shoot.
Sean, would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we continue this project until we get better quality drawings that are graphically represent what's required in the AMM application or the MAJ application.
We have a second?
Sure, I'll second.
Second by Robert Rotman. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. So that concludes our agenda. Does anybody, or do we have any committee member comments on any topics? I think David wanted to give us some updates on how things are progressing.
David Newell?
David Newell?
Yes. Yeah, so yeah, if there's no other comments from the committee members, the only just a couple of updates. In the past, we've talked about doing electronic submittals and the city moving towards online permitting processes. So we're still working through those technological advances. The system isn't ready quite yet. I know we talked about going live early this year, but we're in February now and we still haven't gotten it figured out quite yet. So as we finalize the system and get it ready for implementing and going live, at that time, we'll look to create only online submittals and have packets delivered electronically only. Right now, you're still getting the print packets. But once we move into that new system, which I don't expect would happen for a couple of months, perhaps maybe 3 or 4 months. It just depends on once we get the online system up and running and we have all of that ready to go. So I just wanted to give the committee an update about that.
Can I just chime in on that one item really quickly? David, I think, and I don't know how anybody else feels, but right now, if you'd just like to take my name off the hand-delivered paper copy list, that's fine. Electronic submittal is always okay. Usually I go onto the agenda and download every item anyway.
Okay, that's perfect. That's helpful for us. So I'll take you off the list of packets. So, packet deliveries. So, okay.
Any other comments from committee or staff?
The only other thing that I also want to mention is that the Planning Commission at their meeting last month, continued a project, a final development plan. It's for the next phase in the Miralon development. So that is something that we will need some assistance from the chair and the vice chair per the direction of the planning commission. So we'll have a subcommittee hopefully here in the next week or two. Mr. Jakeway, Mr. Rotman, we hope you're available.
So we've been volunteered.
You've been volunteered. So just keep an eye out for an email from me or one of the other staff about that subcommittee. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you all very much. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, JR.
All right.
See you, JR, everybody.